How many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet.
I do apologize for being late. I was obliged to clear up some urgent business.
At last we meet, Monsieur de Richet. Do you mind if I call you Louis?
Please do.
Thank you. I wish to apologize wholeheartedly, Louis. I made you cross the seas, and I wasn't even here to welcome you. When I asked you to join us here, it was, of course, in the hope that you would help us find your mother. But an act of horrific violence occurred during the night, and I do not know if this is linked to the disappearance of Sarah.
If there's a possible link to my mother, I hope you'll let me know.
In the early hours of the morning, Elizabeth Adams was found dead in her room, savagely mutilated with a knife. I'll get straight to the point, Louis. According to the initial elements at my disposal, you were the last person to see her alive.
Yes, last night we, Do you suspect me?
I want you to tell me everything that happened last night and leave nothing out. Tell me, how did the evening begin?
Duchess Hillsboro and I were returning to our rooms when Elizabeth came up to us. She was in a state of panic and insisted that she needed to speak to me. She said she feared for her life. I took my leave of the Duchess and followed Elizabeth to her room.
Continue.
She insisted we have a drink, without which she refused to confide anything.
What exactly did she want to speak about?
She claimed she saw my mother the previous evening on the cliff, if I remember correctly.
Interesting. I will send someone as soon as possible. But do go on.
I refused to go on drinking with her. She already seemed drunk and her conversation became confused. So, then she ordered me to get out. If only I'd stayed.
Don't blame yourself, Louis. How could you have known? But thank you for this new information.
Louis, I shan't hide the fact that this tragedy puts me in a very delicate situation. I cannot risk upsetting the smooth operation of our next conference. But the case cannot remain unaddressed. I must reassure my guests, and justice will be done. And for that to happen, I must ask for your help.
Why is that?
You met Elizabeth. You spoke together, I believe. She trusted you. Listen, Louis. Find out who could have committed this murder. I refuse to believe that one of my guests is the murderer. I want to know who is responsible for this. And I trust you. You have my backing. You must stop at nothing. Can I count on you?
Of course. How would you like me to proceed?
Maybe you could start by going to the scene of the crime. Elizabeth was attacked in her room.
Do you have any suspects in mind, my lord?
I spent most of the night talking with Sir Gregory and His Eminence Piaggi, so I think you can remove them from the list of suspects. Monsieur Bonaparte and President Washington left the party after midnight, I believe. They were tired and went up to bed.
Can you tell me anything else about what happened?
Now, Louis, I wouldn't want to influence you. Get over there and form your own opinion.
Right. I'll get over there immediately.
Thank you, Louis. Now, once you've finished, come back and let me know your findings. I'll be waiting. And Louis, you've got permission to search through the guests' rooms. They've all been notified and they agree.
Your Eminence, I imagine that you've heard the news about Miss Adams.
What a tragedy, my son. How could such a thing have happened?
That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary last night?
I saw the young French soldier, Bonaparte, I believe, hanging around near Miss Adams' room. But I would not want to get an innocent man into trouble, Louis. It's probably nothing.
Not to worry, Your Eminence. If he is innocent, then he has nothing to fear. Do you know why Monsieur Bonaparte was hanging around her room like that?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that the dashing young soldier had become infatuated with a fragile young woman who looked a bit lost. But I don't think he got a very warm welcome.
Bonaparte and Adams? But they didn't even know each other, did they?
I couldn't say, Louis. One last thing. You must know that Peru hit young Adams on the evening of our arrival. He apparently violently attacked her in the small salon.
Do you know anything else about the attack?
Oh, unfortunately not. I arrived too late to intervene. Young Miss Adams had already been submitted to the foul lout's wrath. Otherwise, you can believe me, it would not have happened.
Nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781. Monsieur Johann von Wulner.
Good day, Monsieur de Richet.
Mr. Wulner, are you looking for anything in particular? Next to Elizabeth's room?
No, nothing special.
Has anyone told you that Elizabeth was killed last night?
Yes. Rumors spread quickly.
Huh. He looks very put out.
It's horrible. How did it happen?
I can say nothing to you, sir. You'd better follow your host's instructions and stay in your quarters.
I shall leave you now, sir. I will return to my room.
A chest with a half-circle pattern. An untutored hand copied these notes. Looks like a healing method. Well, that's a pity. The writing is barely legible. The note suggests binding the feet and hands, then blocking the jaws using a piece of cloth to prevent the tongue from being sectioned. That looks like a method to control an epileptic fit. I wonder if Elizabeth is the one being treated for that illness.
Has Sir finished with this room?
No, I haven't gone over everything yet.
Sir may take his time. When Sir would like to leave, Sir has only to tell me.
My dear Elizabeth, I'm writing to inform you of some unfortunate news. We won't be able to meet as planned on the first Sunday of May. I've been told that you're no better, and, unfortunately, your brothers and I are absolutely snowed under by the work required to govern this new country. Please excuse us. As soon as we can get free, even if it's just for a day, I promise we shall come and see you. Your loving father, John Adams. P.S. Don't hold it against your mother. She still isn't ready. Please don't judge her. I'm sure you'll be able to put all of this behind you one day.
Blood, but no trace of blows on the legs. Let's see. No trace of sexual assault or rape. More tattoos, similar to those on the rest of her body. The direction of the blood streaks caused by the wounds to the thorax show that she was standing when she lost blood. This proves that she was standing when she was assassinated, possibly held by someone or something. The direction of the blood streaks caused by the wounds to the thorax show that she was standing when she lost blood. This proves that she was standing when she was assassinated, possibly held by someone or something. I see no sign of bruising on the skull. The only clue is a scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck, maybe mutilations. She bled from the nose. There's signs of bleeding, but I don't see any traces of bruising. There's signs of bleeding, but I don't see any traces of bruising. What a strange smell. Her breath smells of alcohol and of laudanum. People use it to relieve pain. There are numerous marks on the body. She must have fought like a lion. It couldn't have happened without a lot of noise. There are also a number of old scars. People who scar themselves in this way generally do so to relieve some kind of psychological suffering. By trying to master the pain, they establish their self-control. Scarring, ugh. Scarring isn't very regular, but they're mostly from old cuts. Scars are superficial and were made several years ago. She wasn't trying to take her own life. Symbol of Masons? What's that doing here? I count no fewer than 9 wounds on the thorax, with a lot of blood. On first sight, I'd say that's what caused her death. The wounds are clean and look like they've been inflicted by a sharp object. Some of the lacerations have damaged vital organs, the heart, the right lung, which is perforated. Most of them weren't given with much force. She might even have survived. But the stab in the heart, though not all that deep, sealed her fate. It looks as though the wounds were inflicted from a precise angle, as if the murderer was standing behind Elizabeth. No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol. No marks or bruising around the wrists. It doesn't look like she was tied up or held by force. poor girl bled to death. Whoever left that footprint has boats for feet. That's at least a size 15. Where's a size like that here? Peru? Washington, maybe. Knocked over bottle of wine. What plonk is that? Hey, it's a Bordeaux. That's a Chateau de Bligh. It's a great wine. I don't know what's happened to this wine, but it's undrinkable. The blade is short and thin. Well sharpened, apparently. It's covered in blood. Still fresh. The lower part of the handle is unsullied by blood. The murderer gripped the weapon so tight that there's no blood where he held it. The handprint indicates a small and slender hand. Vials of laudanum. The label shows that this laudanum comes straight from America. I wonder if Washington's involved. Blood spatter indicates that the murderer must have held Elizabeth upright during the attack. Even if Elizabeth wasn't very big, I doubt she wouldn't have put up a struggle. It takes tremendous strength to overpower someone like that. The handprint on the handle is really small. I can't imagine a man with a hand that size. It must be from a woman's hand. The clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime. Piece of fabric. High quality at that. I'd say it's silk. Going by the texture and the gray hue, it must come from a dress, that kind that women of quality wear. Pistol? Fairly new, I'd say, and judging by the weight of it, fairly light. It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded, and well, there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. A tribute engraved on the barrel. To the liberators of France. There's a few dried traces of blood on the grip. Difficult to know for sure how they got there. Right. I shall have to find its owner. 30 November, 1791. My dear sister, the cancellation of our reunion hit me like a stab to the heart. Father told me it was for your well-being, but... June 11th, 1791. My dear Elizabeth.
A novel of the initiation of a young woman into polite society.
A notebook, written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages. Not too easy to work out. Pentagram? What the hell's been going on here? Many esoteric rituals are based on this shape. Could Elizabeth have been sacrificed during an occult ritual?
Has Sir finished with this room?
I know enough now. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Sir may return whenever need be. I shall guard the door.
Monsieur Johann von Wunder.
Decorum guide. Golden elixir. I'll keep it for later.
Monsieur Jacques Perru?
What do you want from me, de Richet?
Greetings. It's fallen to me
Cut
that...
the crap! Get to the point. We both know why you're here.
And have you got anything to tell me?
What does it matter? It's too late anyway. Do what you have to do and get out.
The Massacre of the Innocents by Rubens. A bit gloomy. Guess my room is not that bad. A pattern with 4 circles. Massacre of the Innocents, but by Van Harlem. I think that Mortimer likes to play mind games with his guests. The Massacre of the Innocents, but by Van Harlem. I think that Mortimer likes to play mind games with his guests. Records of the police. Notes intended for the police lieutenant of Paris. It's a list of people under surveillance in Paris, and there's some well-known names on it. This is valuable information. This shouldn't be lying around.
Dear friend, please come and join us. We must meet about the ongoing operations in Paris. A boat will be waiting for you in Calais and will take you to Dover in England. From there, a carriage will take you to the port of Tintagel, where a frigate will be waiting for you and other guests, so you can meet up with me on my island as quickly as possible. I await your arrival. Lord William Mortimer.
All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. I know you were at the scene. We will save a lot of time if you just tell me what happened.
You know nothing at all.
Enlighten me then. For now, I have your footprint in a pool of blood.
That's right. The only thing you can prove is one of my boots was at the scene. Congratulations, you've wrapped up the investigation. All right, have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. You were armed the night of my arrival. Can I see your weapon?
No.
You do realize you're not helping, don't you? You're making it worse for yourself. I'd like to talk about the letter you're writing. What woman is it addressed to?
Who says it's a woman? I'm not saying any more. There's no point you insisting.
Monsieur Napoleon Bonaparte. The Prince by Machiavelli. A perfect read for anyone with a surfeit of ambition. That might come in handy.
The Battle of Alexander at Issus, or how Alexander the Great triumphed over King Darius. Yet another one with delusions of grandeur. Hannibal crossing the Alps. Another military success. Why do I get nothing but visions of horror in my room, and he gets victory after victory? A bicorn decorated with a cockade. It must belong to a French soldier. It's a beautiful weapon. Lovely damask blade. It's marked with the initials of the manufacturer in Versailles.
My dearest son, I'm writing to implore you to act quickly. The situation is rapidly worsening here. Paoli continues to steer our motherland, Corsica, toward open warfare between France and England. His men are everywhere. We are obliged to go into hiding and are unable to remain in the same place for more than 2 days. I wouldn't be surprised if they targeted us soon. Make haste, my son. You hold our destiny in your hands. Your loving mother, Maria Letizia Bonaparte.
Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost.
Monsieur de Richet, please be quick. We are both very busy.
Someone saw you not far from the victim's room. Can you tell me what you were doing exactly, please?
I can tell you that someone is an idiot. I wanted to warn her to be careful. You see, on the night of my arrival, I saw someone leaving her room in haste, and I wanted to speak to her, to warn her. Unfortunately, the young lady slipped through my fingers each time. Now I know why. She had every reason to be worried. What an idiot I was not to insist. I could have helped her.
Were you able to recognize the Prowler?
Unfortunately not, no. It was dark, and Lord Mortimer was waiting for me. I was not really paying attention anyway.
Did you hear about young Elizabeth?
Indeed, it is deeply regrettable.
Lord Mortimer asked me to...
I know. You no doubt want to know my alibi. I spent the night downstairs playing cards.
Did you notice anything unusual during the evening?
Nothing at all, except the luck of the devil of Lord Mortimer and Sir Gregory at cards.
Did they win much?
Oh la la, monsieur, they cleaned us out more like. But I plan on getting it all back before we leave.
Can you tell me who was present at the game, please?
Well, there were Lord Mortimer, President Washington, and Sir Gregory.
Thank you.
Ah, and His Eminence Piaggi as well. Excuse me, I nearly forgot him. Poor soul.
Did any of you leave during the game?
Not that I know of, monsieur. I didn't exactly spend my time noting the other guests' comings and goings, but I don't think so.
Thank you. What time did the game end?
I can't say exactly. As for me, I must have stayed until midnight. I was exhausted, couldn't think straight, so I preferred to go up to bed.
On your way up to bed, did you notice anything out of the ordinary?
No, not in the least. The whole manor was sound asleep.
Not really, no. As any good soldier would, I imagine you own a firearm. May I see it?
Oh, well, if you really want to, here is my pistol. Don't worry, it is not loaded.
Do you have several of these?
In Corsica, oui, but not on me when I am traveling. Only a bandit would carry such an arsenal.
Thank you.
Well, have we finished, monsieur?
Exactly. Thanks again for all your answers. Good day. A Greek drachma. One of the rare ancient coins to be mentioned both in the Bible and in the Quran. A fragment of amber. French actor Talma as Nero in Britannicus, the last emperor of the Caesar dynasty. Golden elixir. Vercingetorix throws down his arms at the feet of Julius Caesar by Royer, two great army chiefs. There's just one holster in Bonaparte's gear, and the pistol is missing. On the other hand, his cleaning equipment is in mint condition. That's typical of the soldier in him.
My dear Napoleon, as previously agreed, I would like to ask you to join us in January on my island to participate in the High Society meeting organized for the occasion. We shall be able to continue our discussion about our project for a new order for France. I have a proposition to make to you concerning your wish to put a strong leader at the head of France. I trust you to be discreet as to your coming. See you soon. Lord William Mortimer.
Duchess Emily Hillsboro. King George III in coronation robes. Nice touch for the room of an English duchess. Tending children at the orphanage in Harlem. I find it a little hard to understand this painting choice.
Dear E, I received your last letter. Unfortunately, the Crown informed the Golden Order that our mission should under no circumstances hamper Sir Gregory's plans. Decidedly, they have support from the highest level in Buckingham Palace. So here we both are, hands and feet tied, and little room to maneuver. Keep me abreast of events. Our mission is becoming more complicated. Yours, E. T.S. The French chapter of the Order doesn't appear to know anything about the arrival of our friend Sarah. I therefore cannot comment on it. However, my guess is that she has come here for personal reasons.
The Lady's Waldegrave by Reynolds, painted upon the request of the Waldegrave family, in an effort to find them a husband. Displayed like meat. It's disgusting.
What can I do for you, Louis?
I've come to see you about last night's tragedy. Did you hear anything about what happened to Elizabeth?
Yes, we all did. Rumors spread quickly, you know. How awful. I didn't know her well, but I hope at least the poor thing didn't suffer too much.
She didn't have time. I'm afraid Miss Adams was stabbed several times.
Good God, what a tragedy. Do you know what happened exactly?
In fact, Lord Mortimer has asked me to look into this case, Emily.
Really? Are you Lord Mortimer's snoop now?
I'm doing it for Elizabeth, not to please Mortimer.
Good for you. Quite right, too. Have you found out anything?
Did you and Elizabeth get to know each other?
I must admit, Louis, I didn't take much interest in her. I feel a bit guilty about it, but I never actually spoke to her. She seemed burdened by her problems, and as she wasn't invited to the conference, I didn't really seek her out.
I'm now interviewing all the guests to establish the alibis for each person. Just so I can cross you off the list of suspects, can you tell me what you did after leaving my room?
You know, the easiest way to find out what I was doing last night would have been to invite me to stay, Louis. But I shall answer you. I simply went back to my room and then to bed. On the way, I stopped off for a brief chat with President Washington about some business that concerns both of us.
Very well, then. Thank you, Emily. We found the murder weapon.
What is it?
A dagger, quite slim.
Have you found its owner?
Not yet. Still searching as it happens. That said, since the blade penetrated the body several times, the murderer's hand will have been covered in blood.
You think that's a clue?
The handprint was a very slender hand, Emily. Probably that of a woman.
Do you realize what that means? There are only 3 of us on the island. Bearing in mind that neither my sister nor myself had any reason to set upon the young lady, that means...
I know, Emily. I know.
Keep up your courage, Louis. I'm sure there's an explanation. You're bound to shed some light on it all.
If what you say is true, Emily, I'm less and less enthusiastic about shedding any light on the subject. I won't keep you, Emily. Thank you for answering my questions.
See you, Louis.
A devil's thorn, to be used to uncover the best disguised traits. A letter from William Pitt the Elder, addressed to Emily. He was the English Prime Minister. This letter dates from 15 years ago now. Queen Charlotte. All the royal family of England is there from what I can tell. 2 coils circle the lock. Duke Manuel Godoy. Duke Manuel Godoy. Huh, that's me. Monseigneur, His Eminence Cardinal Piaggi.
President George Washington. A map of Massachusetts.
Devil's Thorn. I'll keep it.
A map of Vermont.
Greetings, Louis.
Mr. President, you can guess why I'm here.
Of course.
Lord Mortimer has sent me to ask you a few questions about last night.
It's... How am I going to tell Elizabeth's father that she's dead?
I know, Mr. President. I shall endeavor to find out the truth about this tragedy. I must ask you to help me, though. Please.
Find the degenerate pig who did this, Louis.
Were you aware that Elizabeth took laudanum?
Yes. She came to ask me for some. She had finished her reserve, I believe.
Did she tell you why she was so desperate to get some, Mr. President?
She said she had terrible migraines that wouldn't go away.
More likely for the voices she heard, not the migraines.
Were you aware that Elizabeth took laudanum?
Yes. She came to ask me for some. She had finished her reserve, I believe.
Do you take it regularly, Mr. President?
Unfortunately, I do, Louis. I still suffer from a terrible toothache, and it's not likely to get any better.
It's just for that, then?
Old age, my young friend. I don't wish it upon you, but you'll soon see. At my age, it's rare to have no problems in that domain.
And do you take a lot?
A moderate amount, Louis. Only the dosage indicated on the prescription of my doctor.
Tell me, Mr. President, had you spoken to Elizabeth since your arrival? You know her father. You thought she was dead.
No, I didn't. And I believe I'll be taking my remorse with me to my grave. I wanted to, but I didn't know where to begin.
You can't blame yourself. You couldn't have known that her days were numbered. Mr. President, we found a footprint at the scene of the crime.
Not a dress shoe, I hope. That's all I wear.
No, rest assured. It looks like the print of a big ankle boot. A large size, I'd say.
Perfect. That should help you, Louis. It's a clue. Greetings, Louis.
Do you know if she had any enemies, Mr. President?
Not that I know of. I heard about her altercation with Mr. Peru, but that case was closed, if I'm not mistaken. But if in doubt, I wouldn't leave any door unopened. And I'd go and question your fellow countrymen.
Don't worry. Countryman or not, I'm not letting anybody slip through the cracks. Do you know why she came to the island?
To get help, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right?
Indeed. Sir Gregory suggested to her father that he introduce her to Lord Mortimer to see if he could help her.
Yes, Lord Mortimer has a talent for healing, apparently. I'm not surprised Sir Gregory advised her to come.
Agreed. I shan't keep you any longer, Mr. President.
Feel free, Louis. If there's anything I can do, just ask.
Thank you, Mr. President.
It looks like a note between Emily and Washington about trade deals.
My dear George, I'd like to invite you to join me as planned at my place. I have a project to show you. It is time that the United States played a more important role on the world stage. I understand your reluctance of playing with fire. I know your new country is very young, but rest assured that I would do nothing to jeopardize what we have built together. I look forward to seeing you soon. Your friend, William.
Monsieur Johann von Wulner. I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
I believe I've identified the murderer.
Really, Louis? All right, then. Please, think carefully before you give me your answer. This is a very, very serious accusation.
would appear that Monsieur Peru is the culprit.
What proof do you have against him?
I found a footprint in the victim's blood. The size corresponds to a very tall man.
That's certainly suspicious.
He hit her before yesterday evening. His Eminence Piaggi can testify to that fact.
Ah, very interesting. Anything else?
His weapon was in Elizabeth's room, which proves he was present at the scene of the crime.
I see. What else?
I believe there's enough here to prove his guilt.
Very well. I'll share your conclusion with Gregory, and then I shall take care of everything from now on. Given the eminent guests and the important political issues involved, I trust you will leave me to conclude the case in my own way. Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
When I first came here, I wasn't that worried. In the past, my mother has taken a few liberties during her missions, including disappearing for several days on end.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities, and yours, in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the cannon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him because I have a firm conviction that he can go far. Yet he told me that you had spoken and that you hadn't been able to reach an understanding.
That's putting it mildly. Monsieur Bonaparte is one of those guys who only understands people who think like he does.
Ah, I see what you mean. He is indeed rather inflexible when it comes to certain subjects. But I am still of the opinion that you can manage to get along.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Did my mother intend to finance a war? I'm not sure that I follow.
No, your mother's aim was not so much to partake in a war, but rather to make Monsieur Bonaparte accountable. France is in turmoil, and having the support of a military man can often come in handy, Louis. You'll see. Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play, and I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Ah, thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what is said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
She was looking for someone.
What do you mean?
In Paris, we were working on a smuggling case to do with occult objects. We had just arrested a dealer who intended to go to you to meet a buyer. My mother was here to find out to whom he intended to sell his stolen treasure.
Oh. What was the name of your dealer?
can't remember exactly. Something or other.
Von Volner?
No, not your friend, Mr. Von Volner.
There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Maybe she found something out.
What do you mean?
My mother has a gift for investigating. If she had picked up a lead, nothing would have stopped her.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
You seem to know my mother very well, my lord. What did you talk about together?
Oh, as soon as we had a little free time, we liked to share points of view about practically any subject. We would find ourselves embarked on interminable discussions that could go from Monsieur Blanchard's flight in a hot air balloon to the Treaty of Jewess, or the adoption of the metric system in France last year, or even Mr. Eli Whitney's invention in the United States.
Ah, yes. His famous cotton gin. It was supposed to revolutionize cotton production in the United States.
It will revolutionize the world, Louis. The potential of this invention is much greater. Tomorrow, all industries will be switching to simple but large-scale production. Of that, I'm sure.
I'm surprised she didn't get you started on the Crusades. It was her favorite subject.
Are you joking? Sarah and I spent entire days together reliving them. It so happens that the Crusades are also my subject of predilection, especially the third. My ancestor distinguished himself brilliantly during the siege of Saint-Jean-d'Acre.
Unfortunately, my lord, the Crusades are not my chosen field.
Well, it doesn't matter. You have plenty of time to learn. Your mother is a very well-read woman. You're quite lucky to have her as a model, Louis.
Yes, I know, but I'm still very worried.
I must admit, there are worse things to worry about now, Louis.
What do you mean?
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsboro's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on.
Emily has a twin sister? Who knew my mother? What's she playing at, goddammit? That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that?
Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation. Until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you.
The room is just opposite Mortimer's study.
There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays. The door appears to be locked on the other side. I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key falling to the floor. What is this disc? Oh, that reminds me of the ones my mother collects. It's magnetic. St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. A fierce opponent of the first Christians, St. Paul is suddenly struck by the call of Jesus Christ and converts. It's the best-known conversion in Christian history, which teaches us that even enemies of Christ can be saved, and even become his greatest apostles after finding faith. From what I can recall, the account of his conversion could be found in the epistles to the Galatians, the Philippians, the Corinthians, and the Acts of the Apostles. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. Let's see if it works. It's open. St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. I don't know, what does that mean? Amber crystals. Painting of Saint Mark from the collection of the Apostles by Guido Reni. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. It looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. St. John, painted by Guido Reni. A chest with the occult symbol representing air. Drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel. The New Testament. But that which beareth thorns and briars is rejected, and is nigh unto cursing, whose end is to be burned. Here's a message. There are some complications. Indeed, the Prussian is insistent. What's happening at your end? Do you need help? If tonight is not possible, let's see tomorrow evening, in the South Room, where we reviewed the situation. When Paul understood that only the axe counted, he went back on his tracks. I await your confirmation to his left, in the company of the pilgrims that have joined him. Yeah, this last comment is about their code. I should find new pilgrims near Paul. Painting of Saint Mark from the collection of the Apostles by Guido Reni. It's St. John, painted by Guido Reni. A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel. St. Paul, painted by Guido Reni. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. I don't know, what does that mean? So we have the figure 11 twice underlined, and a story of a group of pilgrims who it looks like Paul is speaking to. Maybe it's a code. There must be a connection. A text on Paul must be somewhere, and it must be associated with the figure 11. But What's the story with these pilgrims? I mean, a connection with the figure, maybe? I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Oh, wait. A note from Mother is carefully folded between the pages here. What does it say?
Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the two groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative. Awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle.
What? The youngest apostle? What does Mother mean by that? The painting looks like it's been taken down recently. What was it my mother said? That she would wait for an answer hidden behind the apostle. Ah, of course. There's something written behind the painting. On the second day, the pilgrims will listen to the prophecy of the young apostle. They shall add 1 companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their rank. What does it mean? And the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times and a half a time, from the face of the serpent. Hey, a new note. It's been folded carefully in the corner of this page. The writing, it's not my mother's. S. I found the book in your effects. I've concealed it where no one can get their hands on it. I can assure you, awaiting your instructions, I will hear your reply like he who hears the angel. Hears the angel? What does that mean? Oh, it's probably the place where she was expecting to get the location of the next note. There's something else behind this painting. It says, half of each group will join the first city of Corinth. What the hell does that mean? A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel. Now, therefore, there is utterly a fault among you, because ye go to law with one another. Why do ye not rather suffer injustice? Why do ye not rather suffer yourselves to be defrauded? Ah, look, here's a message. It is of paramount importance that no one finds it. Watch out for the Prussian. He's on the trail. Let's meet up. I'll leave it to you to organize the rendezvous. Not today. I'm unable to do it. In the meantime, I'll follow the first group to Mark, who will reveal the answer to them. Prussian? Volner? I must have a word with him. And that first group of pilgrims, how many are there now? If I refer to the chapter I'm reading at the moment, 6.
guess I'll just come back later. There's nothing worth noticing here. It's too cumbersome for me to unhook here, but judging by the dust, it hasn't been moved for months, if not years. Little characters are engraved on the chest of drawers under the urn. It's a sentence in Hebrew. And he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they were made ready, he fell into a trance. Hey, there's a note here. A message from Mother in reply to E. We must leave urgently, but first I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare. Watch out for Volner. He figured out I was avoiding him. Allay suspicion. See you tomorrow evening. Stand ready. For now, let's cease all communication until we meet. Take care of yourself. I suppose this must be the last message. What happened afterward? If it's what I suspect, I fear the worst. What did Mother mean by, I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare? I must go beyond the nightmare. What does she mean by that? Clearly, she must be trying to do something useful, but what? A nightmare. Does that remind me of anything? Well, if it's a concept, I've got no idea what it is. I need to figure out what this means. Mortimer's getting his guests together. I ought to join them so I don't look suspicious. It's time I went back and joined everyone in the small salon. Emily, I must speak to you.
What's the matter, Louis?
I have news about your sister.
What have you found out?
Look, I've started piecing together the events leading up to my mother's disappearance and your sister's. Did my mother know about your secret?
Yes, even though I belong to the English chapter, her rank in the Order gives her access to a good deal of personal information.
It must have been Emma I saw in my vision.
I was given to understand that my mother and your sister bonded during their stay. I've got a question that might seem a little bit strange.
I'm listening.
If I said go beyond the nightmare, would that ring any bells?
No, means nothing to me. Do you mean literally or figuratively speaking?
It might be a place, I don't know where, but it's a lead.
You ought to ask His Eminence. He knows the house and its estate very well, being a frequent visitor here.
Thanks for the advice.
Should I speak to her about my vision? If what I saw is true, she might want to take revenge. I better keep that to myself for the time being.
Come, Louis. They're waiting for us.
You will pay dearly, Peru. I'm sure you were involved somewhere along the line.
That's right. Pretend you don't know. One piece of advice. Don't travel through France on your way back, or it'll cost you dearly.
Calm now, my friends. Let's calm down. Everyone seems to be a little unnecessarily heated. Don't forget where you are, please.
What's going on here exactly?
Sir Gregory called us together to introduce the last guest. But hardly had we arrived when he set upon Monsieur Peru.
And what has Monsieur Peru done to once again provoke someone's anger?
We don't really know just yet.
I get the feeling it won't be long before it gets out.
How could you dare do such a thing? Dios mío, you are all out of your minds!
Really, Duke Manuel? What made you kick up such a fuss?
What? Have you not heard? Well, let me inform you that yesterday morning at 10:22 a.m. precisely, in the middle of the Place de la Révolution in Paris, by decree of the National Convention which Monsieur Peru works for, King Louis was guillotined. What?
Oh, no.
The King of France is dead, gentlemen. Our monarchies are in danger. I have said it before. How dare they?
Oh, dear.
As if...
Friends, let us calm down.
Don't pretend to be surprised. He got a fair trial.
Ridiculous! Bastard! He was sentenced to death by 361 votes to 360. You beheaded a king for one vote! Is that your democracy?
What an obnoxious act. Until anything was possible. This political coup will have grave consequences.
France is lost.
Gentlemen, please. Let us take a step back a moment.
In the name of holiness. He was the highest representative of God in France, Emily.
Gentlemen, Duchess, we're all among people of reputable company here. We should be able to manage the conflicts of our nations in a respectful and orderly manner.
I fully agree with you, sir.
But
That's enough, sir.
with whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
Louis Maras de Richet.
Are you related to Sarah de Richet?
Sarah is his mother, Duke. Gentlemen, this news affects us all, but I must ask you to remain calm. It's not the first time history has taken us by surprise. Let's ensure that our respective countries are allowed to respond appropriately to this news.
Oh, rest assured. The response will not fall short, my friend.
Good for you. Well, Your Grace, here I was preparing to introduce you as is proper, and you've beaten me to it. I'm delighted that we are all together at last. Our meeting will therefore be able to kick off shortly. I have just a few more little preparations to take care of before you all find out the reason for your presence here.
In the meantime, I shall leave you to get to know one another. When you hear the bell, please proceed to the conclave room on my left, behind that door. I'll see you later.
Could you spare a moment, please, sir?
I'm glad you asked. I want to talk to you, too.
Of course.
I heard about your mother's disappearance.
He looks concerned. I don't know why, but I doubt it's from sympathy alone. Well, let's see what he wants from me.
Any news of her? Have you found her, maybe?
Why? Is there something you particularly wanted from her?
No, not specially.
My questions made him feel uneasy, but he's keeping his emotions under control.
Your mother and I used to often speak together. I have rarely met someone so learned. To tell you the truth, I was about to make a deal with her. Did she tell you about our arrangement?
The cat's out of the bag now.
More or less, but please do refresh my memory.
Yes, of course. Nothing of great importance in itself. During one of our discussions, she spoke of an old book, which might have been of interest to me, and she had agreed to let me have it.
A book about what?
Ancient occultism. As you are aware, I am a doctor of theology. You might have come across some old books in her belongings, perhaps?
Indeed. My mother is never without her favorite book.
Oh, a stroke of luck?
I didn't think her original edition of Bougainville would be so captivating to you.
No, indeed. The one I'm interested in is a very old book, with each chapter under lock and key. It has nothing to do with de Bougainville's book.
Oh, right. I'm sorry, I don't know anything about that.
Well, too bad.
You seem very upset. Is it so important to you, this book?
Well, it's the search of a lifetime. What can I say? Every time I move closer to it, it seems to slip away at the last minute. I was very surprised to learn that your mother had it in her possession. I thought it was with a certain von Borchardt in Paris. Do you know him?
Indeed. My mother and I had a brush with this individual just a few months ago.
What about?
About an object stolen from the Order a few years ago, which my mother wanted to recover.
This situation comes as a great surprise to me.
I got him now.
I hope I've been able to satisfy your curiosity, Mr. von Wollner, and that you succeed in finding what you're looking for.
Oh, and so do I.
And now, what if you told me who you really are working for, instead of keeping up this pretense?
I beg your pardon?
We both know what you're looking for, von Wollner. You're the one who von Borchardt was planning to sell it to.
For centuries, all those who have come into contact with the Al-Azif have bitterly regretted it, Monsieur de Richet. You are playing a dangerous game. Please know that I am working for someone who does not appreciate anyone poking around in his business.
Let me guess. Your dear king, I should think.
What? You mean Frederick William? Oh, my poor fellow. You are miles away. That stupid, pretentious puppet wields no real power. But seeing as you do not wish to be serious, so be it. Good luck to you.
Monsieur Bonaparte, may I speak with you a moment?
May we?
What do you think of Duke Godoy?
Well, I'd rather not express any opinion of him.
Why is that?
His reputation is enough for me.
There are some rumors about his loose morals.
Juste, monsieur. Add to that his devouring ambition, if you want my opinion. Playing at lover boy rather than gaining merit for his career. It's a disgrace for any soldier.
I understand your point of view. Does expression go beyond the nightmare mean anything to you at all?
Well, metaphorically, yes. It sums up the career of a soldier quite well. I doubt that is what you want to hear, though.
Indeed.
That's surely not what I'm looking for.
Well, monsieur, if you are looking for a phrase book, Lord Mortimer must surely have one, given the number of books he has. You ought to check in the library of the tower. You never know.
Would you have any more information about the conference Lord Mortimer spoke of?
Nothing at all. Mortimer is very committed to secrecy when it comes to his conferences. But given the presence of Monsieur Peru and ourselves, I think it must concern France to some extent. Otherwise, I doubt he would have invited 3 Frenchmen to his table, huh?
Well, I'll be leaving you now. Shall we meet up again later?
Wait, monsieur. Any news of your mother?
Unfortunately not, no.
I hope to speak with her about my deal before I leave. Let me know if you find her. À plus tard, monsieur.
Hey, these look like pages taken from an ancient encyclopedia. Chronicles of the Amber Princes. As I recall, Dorkin was my favorite character. Lord Mortimer certainly has a taste for staging rooms.
Mr. President, can you tell me a little more about the coming conference?
Of course, Louis. That's why we're here. Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory regularly organize meetings like this to put forward major projects.
What do you mean by major projects?
I'd prefer to let Lord Mortimer explain that to you, Louis. Let's say he brings together influential people in order to consider possible actions to undertake to guarantee the future of nations.
Do you know the theme of the conference?
Not in the slightest. None of the guests know the theme before arriving. But you'll see, everything will turn out fine.
don't worry.
Go beyond the nightmare. Does this line remind you of anything in particular?
You've caught me unaware here, Louis. Let me think about it a second. No, nothing comes to mind. Sorry, Louis, but I am unable to help you.
Mr. President, what do you think about your counterpart, Duke Manuel?
I'm very surprised he was able to accept Lord Mortimer's invitation, given the political situation in Spain.
I wonder what promise Lord Mortimer could have made to make him agree to come here, given the circumstances.
Who knows?
Well, thank you for your time.
Don't mention it, my young friend. Regarding your question on the nightmare, don't hesitate to question the others about it. Maybe one of them knows more than I do.
That's a good idea. Thank you once again. I'll see you in a little bit.
What can I do for you, sir? I am at your service, day and night, sir.
I would like to speak about your master, Lord Mortimer.
Do please excuse me, sir, but I shall make no comment about my master. Is there anything else that sir would like to know?
As I was unable to bring my personal effects with me, I was wondering if you could find me a few items.
Of course, sir. What would you require?
My good fellow, would you have any amber available?
I would, but unfortunately I don't think I am authorized to give it out, sir. I believe it is a precious stone.
What do you want, Louis?
Emily, what can you tell me about the coming conference?
Sir Gregory and Lord Mortimer organize this kind of high society meeting every so often in order to consider the world situation.
But to what purpose?
Well, by bringing together the most influential people from the dominant nations of the modern world, they allow the mighty to discuss matters with calm clarity. There are precedents of armistices being signed at the end of these talks, you know. Talking while holding a glass of brandy makes things easier. You'll see.
What do you think of our last guest?
Well, I never thought I would get the chance to meet that Hispanic Casanova in the flesh. His reputation is well known. The gentleman collects lovers, including, would you believe it, the Queen of Spain.
I doubt that Lord Mortimer invited him for his charm, if you want my opinion. I have a question that might seem a bit strange, but...
Go on.
If I said, go beyond the nightmare, would that mean anything to you?
No, means nothing to me. Do you mean literally or figuratively speaking?
It can be a place. I don't know where, but it's a lead, I think.
You ought to ask His Eminence. He knows the house and its estate very well, being a frequent visitor. I believe he's in the Grand Salon.
Thank you for your advice. I've already asked you, but I don't remember the answer. What did you say to me about going beyond the nightmare?
Good heavens, you're losing your memory. I haven't the least idea what it might mean.
Oh, all right. That's too bad.
A few leaves out of an old encyclopedia.
Circe preparing wine. What better trap for Ulysses? Discourse on the Method by Descartes. This book changed the way I looked at the world. Circe preparing wine. What better trap for Ulysses? Romney painted Lady Hamilton as Circe.
Ah, Louis. Just the man. Good Lord. How did the king come to be executed? I would think that the Order would have intervened.
Your Eminence, I'm sorry for King Louis. But he did everything to put himself there.
Louis, how can you say such a thing? Even if France rejects the Church, you don't go and behead a person of high status. They always serve our cause better alive than dead. Politically, it's absurd.
I invite you to speak about it with my mother as soon as she reappears.
Is there any news of her?
Well, I hope it won't be long before I find her, Your Eminence.
Now you wanted to speak to me.
I was wondering what to think of that Manuel Godoy.
He is reputed to be a very ambitious character, at every level. But his faith is unwavering. He is a staunch defender of the Church. You can believe me.
I'm sure a man like you is in the circle of trust. Would you know what the conference that Lord Mortimer mentioned is going to be about?
Not really, my son. Well, be it Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory, we are never informed about the theme of the conference before it begins.
If I say the nightmare to you, does it make you think of anything?
Your question is strange, my son. Difficult to say. Could you at least tell me a little more about the context?
Well, I mean, if it were a place or an object found on this island, what would you think of first?
The nightmare. No, I don't see anything. I'm sorry.
Well, that's too bad.
Ah, wait! I suppose it might be that horrible painting hanging in Lord Mortimer's study.
Pretend not to be that interested. Right. Well, don't worry about it. I was just curious. Thank you for everything, Your Eminence. I shan't take up any more of your time.
You are welcome, my son. I will be seeing you, Louis.
The lock is surrounded by a triple circle. Golden elixir. Atrus, the Miller brothers. Mother expressly forbade me from reading it.
Liberty or Death by Regnault. Well, I'll take liberty, please. But I do understand his choice, even though it seems radical. Song of Roland. Roland feeleth his death is near, his brain is oozing by either ear. With his brain oozing, it's already remarkable that he can feel anything. Celia. That name means nothing to me. There's the alchemical symbol of the earth on the lid. There's the alchemical symbol of the earth on the lid. Cash. There's the alchemical symbol of the earth on the lid. Monsieur Johann van Vulner.
So, what did my mother mean by going beyond the nightmare? Let's take a closer look. Judging by the shape, I'd say they're Criollo cocoa beans. The chocolate of the Mayas, the rarest of the beans. Some even say they're an aphrodisiac. When a product is in fashion, people attribute all sorts of virtues to it, not to be given to animals. Dark chocolate beans, very bitter. They're greatly prized in high society. No, what have we got here? Well, it looks like a model of a lock. It's as if Mortimer is fond of complicating things sometimes. Well, I hope I never have to try and unlock it. No, what have we got here? Well, it looks like a model of a lock. It's as if Mortimer is fond of complicating things sometimes. Might come in handy. It's a book on the history of the Crusades. I don't think it has any connection with my research. A mynah bird. Sarah de Riche? Waldo, you know Sarah? Well, Waldo, is your master good? What have I done? It looks like I've killed him. Oh, shit. I better not hang around. A painting about a siege dated. The nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781. Ah. This must be what my mother was talking about. Now just need to find out what she meant by go beyond. Hey, looks like it's mounted on rails on each side. It should lift up, I think. There must be a mechanism somewhere. No, what have we got here? Well, it looks like a model of a lock. It's as if Mortimer is fond of complicating things sometimes. Well, I hope I never have to try and unlock it. No,
mechanism here. No mechanism here. Okay, no mechanism behind this painting. Well, I'll have to keep looking. I don't think this book can help me. No. Let's look elsewhere. Which four-letter word could open this chest? Nope. No mechanism here. No, what have we got here? Well, it looks like a model of a lock. It's as if Mortimer is fond of complicating things sometimes. Well, I hope I never have to try and unlock it. Aha! I found it. Oh, what on earth is this? A ring lock now? Great. That's all I needed. It's a complex mechanism. Looks like the third ring is a bit seized up. It gets stuck on number 9. Looks like there's a marker on number 1 on the second roller.
Well, I got it wrong. It doesn't matter. Well, I got it wrong. It doesn't matter.
Open sesame. Let's see what you've been hiding, Lord Mortimer. It shows the forces present in Africa. This is unexpected activity in this sector. It looks like there are also many unknowns, even for Mortimer. Weakness of the Human Psyche by Guillaume Tremor. He says, it is possible to drill an idea into someone by constant daily repetition until the mind gives in. And goes on, there are hundreds of good ways to live life, but you only need one to convince the masses that it's the only one possible. The author isn't letting any ethical principles get in his way, is he? This shows the forces present in America. Preservation using formaldehyde. Just as disgusting as ever. Something strange about this table. What kind of experiments does Mortimer carry out here? It's a dissection table. So Mortimer does autopsies. Here on his desert island. But who is he doing autopsies on then? The little surgeon's perfect collection. Looks like obsidian or onyx. Must weigh a ton. These are feathers. Pigeon, probably. A skeleton by the name of Gustav, if the plaque on the plinth is anything to go by. Mortimer's given a name to his anatomy skeleton. That's morbid. Oh, his right hand is missing. That must be for writing the homing pigeon messages. An iron mask. I wonder who it's for. Chest with a motif representing the alchemical symbol of fire. Am I seeing things, or is that an actual von Leeuwenhoek microscope? Incredible. Mortimer really is at the cutting edge of science. Even at the Order, it took us ages to get one of those. Three rusty old nails. They're about 20 centimeters long. Some goat skulls, chicken legs. Now we all know what that's for. I'm a little surprised at Mortimer. I didn't seem as the type to be organizing little pagan parties, invoking occult powers, and dancing naked under the full moon. I'm more used to seeing cheap charms like this sold by charlatans in Pré Saint-Gervais. Look. A pack of tarot cards. Has he been reading the cards? Mortimer? That would surprise me. Table of alchemical elements. So, Lord Mortimer also studies alchemy? It seems like he's interested in everything. This is my mother's writing. I've picked up her trail. What is she up to? Obviously, she wants to lure Mortimer somewhere, but where? The only clue she's left for Mortimer is his stone sword. It must be intentional. It looks like a decorative sword, like from a statue, for example. And judging by the state of it, I'm guessing it's been left outside for a long time. I have absolutely got to find out where it came from. Locked. Fine-looking map of the Orient, indeed. Locked. Oh, shit. How am I gonna get out of here now? This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. Looks like the same as the one on the other side. This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. Whoa. If the grid closes a bit more every time I enter a wrong date, I'd better not mess up again. It doesn't seem to be working. This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. Are stuck. Shit! I'm cornered like a rat. Someone's coming. Please don't let it be Mortimer. Who is it?
Deliberately avoiding me. 4 years ago I was his favorite, but nowadays I have to ask for an audience with his lordship.
Damn it! It's Peru. I don't know if I should, but...
Well, that's it! I've had enough of being humiliated.
I'm wasting my time here.
After everything I've done on his behalf, he dares treat me like a lackey? I've bled the Parisian elite for the sake of his whims, and what have I got to show for it? Doesn't even have the courtesy to give me 5 minutes of his time. I wanted to put my mind at ease. Well, that's done. I know what I've got to do now.
I must find my mother. So much for discretion.
Monsieur Peru! It's me! Monsieur Duchess!
What the devil is going on?
I need your help!
Where are you, Duchess?
Behind the painting! Open it, please! I've shut myself in! There's a pedal under Lord Mortimer's desk. Can you see it?
There's no... Hang on. Yes.
Good. Now press it.
Yeah. Done.
You should see something resembling a frame with numbers. Yes? You have to turn them to set the combination. "1191."
Well. Poking our nose into Mortimer's little secrets, are we? You do surprise me.
It's not what you're thinking. I'll explain everything.
No, you will not, sir. It has nothing to do with me, and by the way, I never even saw you. So, I'll be on my way now.
Thanks again. I'm indebted to you. I won't forget this.
Yeah. Goodbye.
I've wasted enough time. I better get moving if I want to find my mother. This painting isn't finished. It looks like Mortimer probably did it. Not bad, but you can't exactly say it's been done in the style of the period.
This note is about a meeting with Lord Mortimer. There's no doubt about it. All right, I need to find out where the sword that came with it's from in order to find Mother.
You're joking, I hope. Don't tell me you've done that.
Really? How do you expect me to guess?
Oh, for God's sake, just ask them. Well...
Pity, but I've got no time to lose.
I am sorry, sir, but the conference room is under preparation and is consequently inaccessible to guests.
Could you perhaps help me?
What can I do for you, sir?
Where did this sword come from?
From the garden, sir. That sword belongs to one of the statues in the garden.
Thank you very much.
Don't mention it, sir.
The sword probably came from this garden, but what could it have been used for?
Well, Monsieur de Richet, what brings you here?
To tell the truth, I was wondering the same thing about you.
It's rare for guests to wander about in the garden. I wanted to be alone for 5 minutes.
You look worried.
Worried? No. Resolved would be a more exact term.
Resolved to do what?
What's the point in answering? You wouldn't believe me anyway. I'll be leaving now because whatever it is you're up to, I do not want to know. Be seeing you.
Tell me, aren't you even curious?
Curiosity killed a cat, Monsieur de Richet. I admit, I may have judged you wrongly. Watching you seek out Mortimer's little secrets might even be amusing if I didn't already know the consequences. See you later.
What scares you so much?
Don't mess with him, monsieur. If he offers his help, refuse it. Keep your freedom and get far away from here while you still can.
Ariadne. In Greek mythology, she helped Theseus get through the labyrinth. Looks like there's a crack in the region of the heart. Let's see. A crack as long as my finger. And what's going to happen if I've got it wrong? Ariadne. Try something else. Pasiphae, daughter of Perseus and sister of Circe. She married Minos and became the queen of Crete. She has no cracks. All right, let's continue anyways. I wonder what this kiosk is doing in the middle of the garden. Too cramped to be able to do much. Well, there must be something going on there. What is that? It's like a sort of opening mechanism. Knowing Mortimer, I bet it's booby-trapped. There's a little hole at the fingers. I'm pretty sure if I get it wrong, I'll get pricked. Damn you, Mortimer. Reminds me of traps I studied in Egyptian tombs. Knowing Mortimer, I bet it's booby-trapped. There's a little hole at the fingers. I'm pretty sure if I get it wrong, I'll get pricked. Damn you, Mortimer. Reminds me of traps I studied in Egyptian tombs. It looks like this slab moves. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a passageway underneath it. It's up to the just to deliver judgment. Truth unlocks all possibilities. Theseus, son of Jewess. He's the one who slayed the Minotaur. Looks like a crack has been made on his torso. Theseus. He's the son of Jewess. He became the mythical king of Athens, the unifying king. Pity, he's generally only remembered for having slayed the Minotaur. Let's try something else instead. Honey, I couldn't have hoped for better. Minos. Son of Zeus and Europa. If I remember correctly, he was the king of Crete. Married to Pasiphae, he had many children, including the famous Ariadne, whom history remembers for her thread. Hey, there's a crack in that statue. The crack is in the region of the heart. Minos. Minos. Asterion. It is rare to see him like this. In general, he's represented with the head of a bull, with the features of the Minotaur. The famous son of Minos and Pasiphae. This statue has a crack in it. Right. We'll soon see. Asterion.
Asterion, son of Minos and Pasiphae.
Asterion, who had such a sad fate and who the legend portrays as the horrible Minotaur. Let's go. Asterion. Icarus. The son of Daedalus and Nocrate. Impossible to mistake him with those wings. After flying too close to the sun, they came unstuck and he fell to his death. Pity. Hey, there's no crack here. Well, let's keep going. Golden elixir. Daedalus. He's the architect of the labyrinth, and if I'm not mistaken, he's also the father of Icarus. Hey, there's a crack in this statue too. Daedalus. All right, let's try again. You never know. Asterion. The statue has a crack in it. Right. We'll soon see.
What's wrong? Either I'm imagining things or my hand was pricked. It had poison on it. My head. I feel hot. Asterion. Minos. The crack is in the region of the heart. Again?
You can't be serious, Manuel. You know that's not going to happen.
You must leave me alone now. I have agreed to everything. Even to...
Agreed? I wasn't aware you had a choice.
What's going on here?
What now? What else must I do to win back my freedom?
Obey me. Now get out!
What was that? That's the third time in 3 days. Let's see if you're in there, Mother. Amber. Bandages. Someone's been patching themselves up. Looks like my mother took advantage of being in hiding to change her bandages, huh? This is silk. She must have used her own clothes. These bandages are pretty basic. She'll be lucky if she doesn't get an infection. There are patches where the blood isn't totally clotted. That's a good sign, right? She changed them recently, which proves she's still looking after herself and still believes in her chances. Well, I'd love to tell her to keep hanging in there. Damn it, Mother. Now what's happened?